All right, welcome back, everyone. By now, especially if you've been here in Southern California, you have been paying attention to what has been going on in Orange County. We are really not that far at all from Garden Grove, where this has been the image that we have seen, where there's this tanker, a chemical tank that holds about 7,000 gallons of this tank. It was potentially, as we were hearing, a chemical threat, a potential for a chemical leak, as well as an explosion. Now, before we dive into what it is that the chemical is in this tank, I know a lot of people have been talking about this industrial tank, of course. I do want to let you know that the Orange County Fire Authority did release that they have eliminated the threat of what they call a BLEVE. That's the term they've been using, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. That was the biggest threat to what was ongoing, that there was going to be this gigantic explosion that also releases the chemicals that are dangerous inside. Now, that is no longer a threat. But News 8's Alex Lai breaks down what officials are saying about the chemical. And again, a rupture is still a potential here, and a chemical spill is still a potential. So I think it's very interesting to listen to what the chemical is, and then we will dive into that a little bit more with Alex here after her story airs.
Really quickly, before we run it, we also just want to do a quick content warning. A lot of these developments are rapidly developing. We're learning this as it comes in, and this is a pre-produced story. So, I mean, we think the content is important. Of course, we want to show it. Some of the details are going to be a little outdated. Alex produced this over the weekend. Nonetheless, though, we both believe that this is a story that it's interesting. It's local. Of course, we're relieved to hear the news that
that news also just coming in like an hour ago.
So we just want to let you guys know ahead of time that some of this might be a little bit outdated, but nonetheless, take it away. We'll have Alex on the other side of this report.
For days, crews have been spraying water on this tank, trying to cool it down, but the container of a highly flammable and toxic chemical continues to heat up. The Orange County Fire Authority says the tank should be around 50 degrees. Today, it reached 90.
Yesterday morning, it was 77 degrees when we backed out. It's been averaging about a degree an hour increasing.
Division Chief Craig Covey posted an update tonight on X, saying right now their focus is on the tanks.
We're continuing to keep them cool and monitor them. We got the drones on them every 10 minutes, watching for any temperature changes or spikes.
The tank contains methyl methacrylate, also known as MMA, a highly toxic and flammable chemical used to make resins and plastics. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, inhaling MMA vapors can cause skin irritation, respiratory problems, including coughing and wheezing, and neurological symptoms such as headaches and lightheadedness. An Orange County health officer yesterday said that high levels of exposure could lead to severe respiratory distress and even hospitalization. She also said long-term exposure may impact other organs. However, officials say there are very few cases of large-scale MMA exposure, making this what they call an unprecedented situation with so many people potentially at risk.
We're going into unique times and we have limited information. We know it does cause irritation. We know that on the occupational side, people who work with this material are advised to wear goggles, wear respirators, try not to get in contact.
For now, authorities say they're looking at every possible option and thinking outside the box to find a safe solution.
Sitting back and allowing these tanks to fail is unacceptable. It's against what we think. We're a problem solver and we're doing our best to do that.
All right, as we come back in, you'll see that Alex Lai has now joined us in the Right Now studio. Alex, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. So again, I do want to let everybody know one more time here that the biggest threat, of course, was that we would see an explosion and that would release this chemical for unforeseen, or unknown amount of distances and potentially impact a lot of people. That, according to the Orange County Fire Authority, has been eliminated as of this morning. You heard in Alex's piece talking about the tank temperature. They got that down to 93 degrees. It was that crack in the tank that really helped to release a lot of the pressure, according to the Orange County Fire Authority. But MMA, that is the compound, the chemical that is being put together here by this company in this tank that is then stored in this tank here. Alex, what did you learn about this when you were doing your research, putting this piece together?
Yeah, so it's called methyl methacrylate, kind of a long one, so everyone's been referring to it as MMA. And kind of went through the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, had this long fact sheet, and that's our job as reporters to go through that and figure out what exactly this, the health impacts of this are, because they're saying, this could explode, no longer. This could leak. The toxins can go out into the air. They're estimating like maybe a mile radius, which is why they had all the evacuations. But the effects of this chemical, it's a little bit difficult, they're saying, just because they haven't had such a, large potential exposure to this for so many people. Like, this is kind of unprecedented. So they're not exactly sure what it looks like, but they do know that it can cause a lot of respiratory issues. And that's kind of a vague term.
Right, yeah.
But it means a lot of things. Chest tightness, fatigue, like coughing, wheezing, like
skin
really
irritation.
Really all of them you can think of. Yeah, they're saying skin irritation, skin allergies. They even said like a little bit of numbness in your limbs. All of these different symptoms that you could experience. And then long term, they're saying it could affect your organs. It could require hospitalization. It could lead to severe respiratory distress. And then they're also saying it really differs in animals. I kind of did a little look into that as well, just because there's birds, there's wildlife, just kind of everywhere. And then obviously people's pets as well, that they're very concerned about. So the Orange County health officer that spoke at a press conference last week said that it kind of varies depending on the animal, how it affects them. But there have been several tests on mice and rats that show some different things, including liver damage when showed to more long-term, and then also lung damage when it's more acute, and then also fetal abnormalities when it was presented in animals that were pregnant.
Okay. Now, GKN is the name of the aerospace company that this is occurring at. What is it that they use this chemical for? I think a lot of people are wondering, why is there this facility in the middle of a neighborhood where something like this could potentially happen?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions around that because, one, we spoke with people who evacuated, and a lot of them are saying, we had no idea this was in our backyard. I mean, as you can see, it just kind of looks like an industrial tank, and nobody assumes that there's 7,000 gallons of a highly toxic and flammable chemical in their backyard. So we're kind of learning a lot. GKN Aerospace, it's a global aerospace company. They have locations all across the world, including here in San Diego, several in California as well. As we know, this is obviously up in Garden Grove. They're using MMA. It's meant to help create plastics and resins. So this company is manufacturing different parts and different systems for aircrafts, just kind of all sorts of aircrafts, including, military, XYZ, everything kind of in we could really get into it, but everything in that realm. So
it's
there is one,
it's like the thing you wouldn't know is used because we're not in that industry. We're not making airplanes, Alex, you and I, so we don't know what's needed.
That's a tank for the airplane.
Yeah. So
of course they have
so
MMA.
It's one of those things where it's necessary, it's needed, but it's something that I think for a lot of folks, they're just like, what are you saying?
Yeah, they're like, wait, hold up. This is right by my house? What? You see a big tank, I guess, most people aren't like, oh, I wonder what's in that. Because half the time it's water or something harmless.
Yeah, half the time it's something that we can ingest safely. Now, you mentioned that the information, a lot of the times we've been getting this is through these, Orange County Fire Authority, the releases that they've been doing. But we haven't seen they've been pre-produced videos, right? In terms of what's been coming out in terms of that information.
Yeah. So, as a reporter, as well, we're always looking for the most up-to-date information. So I was presenting this package at 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. and I'm just waiting. I'm like, updates. Yeah. When are they going to put something out? And usually when we have situations like this, there are press conferences, and there was one on Friday where they talked to health officials, and that gives reporters a chance to ask questions. And that's something that's important because we know what people are wondering. People are wondering, XYZ. What is this going to cause? What is this going to do? Is it going to explode? How are you measuring the temperatures? All of these things that people want to know, that we want to know, that we want to be able to tell them, that we want to be able to include in our package, that we can't ask.
Right.
And even if it was like, hey, we asked them and they said, you know, like, we're not really sure, like, at least that's something. But we aren't able to ask them. They're putting out these pre-produced videos on X, which is helpful because at least we're getting information. So, and it's video, which is helpful for us, you know, working in a video format. But it is a little frustrating for a lot of people because we're not able to really get all of that information that we're wanting.
Yeah. Because I think even though questions may be simply answered or they may appear obvious, I think even just the appearance of them being asked helps people find comfort, especially when we're talking about a story where I don't think we can. Let's pull this back up here. 50,000 people have been evacuated from their homes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And they're talking that there are hundreds, maybe even thousands, who have like refused to evacuate, who might still be in the area.
Yeah.
So I think for people, this is definitely one of those things where, you know, up until this morning, we didn't really even have an understanding of, you know, there could be an explosion, but how bad would that explosion look like?
You know, it's also, you know, for those who are familiar with Orange County, it's a pretty dense county, like population-wise, and you know, it is a sprawl of suburbs, and Garden Grove, of course, is one of those. So, you know, even a mile, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, 40,000 residents that are being told?
50.
That's correct, 50.
50.
I mean, I imagine.
Yeah.
50,000 people in an area all now need to find somewhere else. I mean, like that. Yeah. Of course, thankfully, we've seen that a major explosion is off the table. There are reports that a smaller one could very well still be.
Yeah, we're just actually getting.
That's new right now.
Yeah, this is new right now. According to CNN, with OC Fire Authority, quote, "We still have the potential for an explosion that is not as bad as a BLEVE." Again, a BLEVE is the term that they're using for a very large explosion, but is still a threat. So this is not the same as what was released earlier from the Orange County Fire Authority, where they said, "Hey, look, we do not have a chance of a BLEVE," which is here. I have that term, and this is also, again, I think one of the things that for people. They hear that term and they're like, well, what does that mean? BLEVE is a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. So when I'm saying BLEVE, I'm just using the same term that the fire is using. The best to my understanding is that's a big explosion. I'll put in layman's terms, a big explosion. So what they're saying is that while this may not be a very big explosion, there's still the chance for smaller explosions. And I think, Alex, this speaks back to your point about being able to ask these questions versus when we get these video releases. Because the Orange County Fire Authority, the video that they have, and I'm not trying to disparage them by any means, but when they say there's no chance of a BLEVE, I think the then like release of that information leads us to believe that we're in the clear. Whereas now when they're further pressed on this, it's like, well, no, there is still a chance for smaller explosions that is still very harmful, that could still be harmful for people, and so forth. So I think that backs up your point where the inability to be able to ask some of these questions has maybe led to not as much information being put out.
Absolutely, because even if, like you said, they say, hey, there's no BLEVE, we could be like, excuse me, does that mean no explosion? And then they'd be like, no. So we'd be able to kind of help there. I also, watching the latest update that was released this morning, just a little tendency to look through the comments, see what people are thinking, and everyone's like, what is a BLEVE? What are you talking about? Why would you not say what this acronym is? Why would you not tell us what it is? Like XYZ. Like, honestly, we only know because, I mean, I assume I didn't know what a BLEVE was last week.
I learned.
Like,
I learned.
I had to Google it. Yeah, I had to Google it.
I think we all did. So it wasn't like, oh, like a BLEVE, you know? Like,
and I'm glad you had it at hand because, you know, it's good to, you know,
and they keep
know a lot of acronyms,
and they keep using the term, and I do have to say, I think that in this scenario, you probably want to maybe start to use the most simplest of terms,
exactly,
so that it translates and so that it goes out to everybody. But that's a conversation for another day. Alex, a lot of great work covering this from afar, though this is still, again, right in our backyard, 90 miles away from where we are right now.